So I was saying that next week I cannot have a session on Thursday. I have a commitment and I'm booked on the day, something that came up a month ago, and I think I informed you of it, that March 4 I'm not going to be available. So we're going to meet at another time or on another day. So if you have a problem meeting on Tuesday, let's say at 7, or Wednesday at 6, let me know. Otherwise, we can choose one of the 2 days and convene then, just for a Q&A. It doesn't have to be something extraordinary, especially because everything is available on Moodle, and these sessions are just like office hours, like communal office hours. So let's begin. I'm going to share my screen with you and tell you where we are right now. First of all, course page. We are in week 5. This means that we still have 9 more weeks of this course. I feel like it's going very fast and very quick. So in week 5, we're going to be working on our research proposals, and they're going to be short documents. Given the number of people who are working on each project, I have calculated that each student will be writing around a page and a half of the proposal. However, having said that, this means that you guys need to collaborate before you start writing so that you can brainstorm. So what I want you to do is go over developing research proposal document, which is here. And this guides you through how to write a research proposal. I'm going to go over some points of it today. Although the document is long, it's comprehensive and clear. Follow the instructions there on how to develop a proposal. It's 5 pages long and it's thorough, but it gives you a very clear idea of how to think of a proposal. And remember, it's one type of proposal. So, and it actually gives you 3 different types to work with within the proposals, but it depends sometimes on the company. Each company would give you a template to work with in terms of proposal writing. I have also given you 4 different types, or 4 different samples of proposals, and you can go over these to take a look at what they look like, what their components are. These apply what's in this document over here. And then make sure that 1 person only per group submits to the proposal submission slot. Preferably the same person who's going to be submitting all the work from now on for the group, if it is to be submitted on Moodle. Okay? Any questions so far from anybody? Any concerns? Anything? Okay, so I am going to share with you right now how the document talks about how to develop a research proposal. We're going to go over this, and then if at any point you have a question about this, please unmute yourself and ask your question at any time. Okay, don't worry about interrupting me. So the research proposal is a persuasive document. This means that you're trying to convince somebody, or a company, or a board, or an investor of the need to work on a particular project in a particular way. It identifies a technical problem that is available. It explains why it is important to look into it, and it persuades the reader that it should be solved, and it presents a plan of action or research. So what makes a good proposal? 2 things actually make a really good proposal: appearance and substance. So when it comes to appearance, a strong proposal looks attractive, is easy to navigate, and has a professional, inviting appearance. The other component of a good proposal is substance. This means that it should be a well-organized plan, and it has technical details because technical depth is required to sell your product or your project. Okay, so always remember, you're trying to persuade your reader into following your plan of action. The structure of a proposal is simple. You have an introduction, you have an explanation of the current situation, the problem, the project plan, and the conclusion. In the introduction, this is the basic pattern, by the way. If you are not provided with a pattern to follow, this is a very good pattern to follow normally. In the introduction, you include the subject, the purpose, the main point, the significance, and the background information. These shouldn't be more than, short paragraphs or short points. The current situation gives me what the problem is and the problem's causes and the problem's effects, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second. There's the problem paragraph that tells me what the research question is and its significance. The project plan, which provides me with the research methods and justification and timeline. How long will it take to carry out this project? You have to estimate the time, you have to calculate it. This usually comes with experience. Sometimes you fall behind, sometimes you're on time. Rarely are you on time, but this comes with experience. And of course, a conclusion which restates the purpose and main points and the benefits, and a look into the future. Is this clear so far? Cool. So the introduction is to be written last, because then you will have a better idea of what needs to be said and how you should frame your proposal. Never ever write your introduction first. You always end with the introduction you're writing, even though it comes at the beginning. If you begin with it, if you begin writing your introduction first, it'll look like you have no clue what you're saying. If you keep it until the end, then you will have a very clear idea of how to introduce your subject. So the introduction establishes a context or a framework for the content that follows in the body. So a good introduction needs to make some or all of the following 6 moves. So we have 6 rhetorical moves that the introduction should implement. If not all, at least, most of them. Number 1, define the subject of the proposal or project and explain the scope of the problem. So what is the problem? What issues will be addressed by the project, and what issues won't be addressed by the project, which is important to recognize our limitations. Number 2, state the purpose of the proposal. So in one sentence, complete the following phrase: the purpose of the proposal is to, and then you have to use certain verbs that I put over here that help you come up with measurable results. Assess, compare, determine, evaluate, identify, develop, define, increase, decrease, improve, reduce. So this is the verb that you will use, and then you tell me what it will be doing. Number 3, the introduction states the main point. It tells the reader in brief the main point of the proposal or what you want them to understand or do. Okay. Number 4, it offers background information on the subject with a few key sources. It offers some historical background information about the subject. It gives readers enough information to familiarize themselves with the subject and capture their curiosity. But don't give the readers too much background information. You don't want your background information somehow masking or obscuring the main purpose and main point of the project. Number 5, stress the importance of the subject. Very briefly, tell your readers why the subject is important, what has changed recently that made your subject suddenly relevant or worth pursuing. You can point to historical trends, social needs, recent advances in the field, the August 4 explosion, whatever it is. Okay, you can tell them how many people are affected each year by the problem you are trying to solve. Okay, this is regarding the introduction. Simple, straightforward, all in few short, straight to the point, clear sentences that will convey the different moves or what the different parts of your introduction. Moving on, the second part of your proposal is the current situation. Okay, so the first section after the introduction is a description of the current situation. Here in this section, you will define the problem that your project is trying to solve, explaining the causes and the effects. So you have to tell us what the current situation looks like, right? Guidelines for understanding the problem. So while developing this section, you should keep 3 guidelines in mind. The number one, that the problems are effects or causes. Number 2, ignored problems tend to grow worse, always. Number 3, blame change and don't blame people. I know we're tempted in this country to blame people instead of change, but we have to think about it differently. The third part of the current situation would be, what exactly is the problem that you're trying to solve? This might seem like an odd question to ask, but often people mistakenly try to address the symptoms of the problem and not the problem itself. This part helps you understand the problem better when you are trying to state it. So here are some questions to help you determine what exactly is the problem you're trying to solve. What changed to create this problem? What is the problem, or is the problem a symptom of a deeper problem? What aspects of the problem cannot be solved by you? Are you able to solve the whole problem or just part of it? Can the problem be solved in stages? So when you're thinking about the problem as a symptom of a deeper problem, here we have 2 problems, especially in the case of Lebanon, especially in the case of the port area where the explosion happened. The explosion caused a big problem, but there were existing underlying problems that came before the actual explosion that were a deeper problem, or are still deeper problems, right? Or a deeper problem. And then you think about, what are the problem's causes and effects? So a helpful technique would be to use the idea mapping to identify the causes and the effects of the problem. So we're going to see the identifying causes and the identifying effects sample. First, I'm going to stop for a second because I think I have something in the chat that I cannot see. Oh, okay, just the comment. Okay. So how do we identify causes? First of all, we put the problem in the middle, right here, where it says problem. Then identify 2 to 5 major causes to that problem. And for each major cause, try to identify 2 to 5 minor causes to that problem. Keep mapping out until you've identified all the significant causes of the problem. Think, brainstorm as much as you can, because it's easier to lay it all out and then identify what you want to work with. The same thing with the effects. Put the problem, identify 2 to 5 major effects. If nothing is done about the problem, then identify 2 to 5 minor effects for each of these problems. These diagrams should give you a solid overview or overall sense of the problem, its causes and its effects. It's very important for you to have all this mapped out so that when you're thinking about the problem, you know exactly what the different parts of it are. Then you draft the current situation section. The current situation section can be written in 3 different ways. You can use the causal approach, the effects approach, and or the narrative approach. How are they different? The causal approach talks about the causes. So you open with the problem, the background, the significance, all the major and minor causes, and the effect of doing nothing about the problem. When you're taking the effects approach, take a look at open up with the problem, the causes, the significance, talk about the major effects and the minor effects, and the effects of doing nothing about the problem. However, with the narrative approach, you set the scene with some background information, you write about the complication when the problem started, evaluation, how people reacted to the problem, resolution, how people have tried to solve it, effects of doing nothing about the problem. So it depends on what is your project and what are you trying to fix. Each of the boxes might receive a paragraph or a few paragraphs in very small in a very small proposal. Each box might receive only a sentence or two if you're writing a short proposal, which I want you to do for this project. Then we move on to the research questions. By the way, do you have any questions so far? Because I haven't been interrupted yet, so I'm wondering if there are any questions about these, or if everything is clear. Yeah.
No, all clear.
Okay. Great, thank you. Okay, I wonder whether I've disabled. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm changing the settings of the chat so that you can all message publicly. Okay, then we move on to the research questions. Remember, these are all like very small, especially when you look at the sample proposals that I've given, these are all like small parts, like short parts. The research question, pose research questions. The research question is the major question you plan to answer through your research. And when I say research here and research question, I'm talking about being able to identify the problem and come up with solutions for it. Especially when it comes to technical projects, the problem is always practical and not theoretical. Okay, you are engineers, you're working in the field, and so you need to take a look at practical problems. If you want to write theoretical engineering, address theoretical engineering problems, then you do not use technical reports for those. So the research question is the major question you plan to answer through your research. This is the ultimate purpose of proposing research, and make sure that the problem is practical, not theoretical. State the question within context of what you have discussed and extract any sub-questions that you will need to answer before you can get to the answer the research question. We'll talk a little bit about this in a or actually you will be able to see it later on in the samples and as well as in the report sample. I'm going to pause for a second and tell you, as you are working on your proposals, this is the sheet that you use in order or as a template. Just follow this. This is your guideline over here. If you follow this, you're safe. You're just basically punching in the answers, just like you did with last week's assignment. With the literature review, when I say literature review, what does that mean? Can anybody answer this question here? Like, what does it mean? Literature review. Are you going to go read stories to talk about the problem? Are you going to read novels? What is literature or literature review?
Research that is done on the matter and just scientific articles, not like anything.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. So the literature here, meaning whatever research that has been done before that addresses the problem that we have at hand and that offers some solutions or maybe answers to specific technical problems or research problems. So the literature review answers the question, what has been said about the issue and research question, and where do you stand? In the literature review, you discuss two things. You discuss existing literature and your intervention. In existing literature, you present your findings based on research you have done to find answers to your research question and important sub-questions. So the work that you did last week when it comes to finding an article that talks about the problem or maybe addresses a problem that you are going to be working on, this is the literature that you will be looking at. If you didn't do that for last week, now is the time to go find an article that is a research article, academic, scholarly, peer-reviewed, and see what it says. And you present it. Here you present your findings based on the research you have done to find the answers to your research question and important sub-questions. Your purpose here is to understand and help the reader understand what research has been done on the problem you are discussing. What solutions have others proposed or implemented? Have there been solutions that have failed? Have there been successful solutions in other places, contexts, times? Have others tried to figure out the problem in any other way? So let's take, for example, one of the ideas that were proposed for this class, which is having vertical, I think, walls with plants in order to decrease pollution, increase oxygen flow, and they are aesthetically pleasing. I'm sure you can find a lot of research that talks about such implementations around the world, and whether they failed or succeeded in different places, contexts, times, what were the challenges, and what were the difficulties of implementing this, okay? If it's not possible to find out everything that has been said, or it is not possible to find out everything that has been said, but you want to try to give it as thorough an overview as possible. Try to find sources that have discussed the issues from different sides. What I want you to do is, for each group, every single person should find an article, right? Every single person. So you should have 4 to 5 articles. Okay, so your intervention is your perspective on, or your response to, or your position on what has been discussed. Here you speak in the plural, of course, you know, we. So what do you disagree with? Where do you find the discussion lacking? Are there any gaps? Are there perspectives that you agree on, or solutions you might consider? So here, when you say, for example, in their article, for example, Smith and Johns, between parentheses, 2017, proposed this, and that, and then you talk about them in one paragraph, all of the research that you have found. In the second paragraph, you talk about your intervention and you answer these questions, okay? Or you can do it for every single source, the source and what it says, and your intervention. I think my bird is imitating me. Okay. So the project plan, I think, yeah, because he's standing in front of the mirror and just like talking. جرسة. It's very distracting.
ورجينا ايه يا دكتور؟
It's a كنار يعني منه ببغاء أو شيء، بس عم بيحكي. I'm sorry, I'm so easily distracted. I have major ADD. To go back to the project plan, where was I? Yes, project plan. So here in this section, we will find an answer. So we're not going to, no, not yet. We're not going to find an answer yet. This section explains how you will find an answer through your research question. So it outlines the methods that you will use, the kind of research you will conduct, and present the deliverables of every research method. So the major step and the deliverables, including the minor steps. For this part, it's easier if you look at the samples that we have on Moodle. They will give you an idea, a clear idea how you're going to be using this, whether it's just through testing certain things, or maybe just your library research, or how are you going to be doing that? It explains how each method will help you answer some part of the question and get you closer to your answer. It also includes a timeline of the steps you will have to complete before the final report, which presents your research and answers the question. The conclusion, you're on the home stretch now. It's time to conclude the proposal by summarizing the benefits of the project and showing the readers the benefits of that the benefits of the project outweigh the costs. Basically, you're just reminding the reader again why this research is necessary. So do you have any questions? I'm going to try and...
It's clear.
It's clear? Okay. I'm going to try and open up...
I have a question about the sources. When it comes to the background information, is it okay to sometimes use popular sources rather than the scholarly articles?
So, okay, so if you have to, if you absolutely must choose popular sources, use them sparingly. يعني, you shouldn't use them in place of your scholarly sources. And here, when I say scholarly sources, they shouldn't necessarily just come from like research articles, like research journals or scholarly journals. You can also use reports, like government reports, etc., etc. If you're thinking National Geographic is a proper source, it's not. It's actually a popular source. National Geographic is not. Everybody, like, for some reason, everybody considers it to be a good source of information, but it's actually a popular source. It's not an academic source. You can take a look at reports, government reports. You can take a look at maybe projects or project reports from different engineering firms that detail their results, etc., etc. But be careful. I mean, this is not necessarily research per se.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So I'm going to show you okay, 1 second. I'm going to show you one example of yes, there we go. Okay, this one is a proposal to the Ministry of Transportation of the People's Republic of China, and it's about heavy traffic congestion in China. So take a look at it. First of all, students decided to write it in a form of a memorandum. You can do that, or you can follow whatever sample that I gave you, which is the document we were just looking at. I wouldn't consider this to be visually very appealing. I'm not saying go ahead and like go all fancy and use all colors and stuff like that, but make it a little bit like this is easy to navigate, but it's not necessarily very visually appealing. It's fine. So you have the introduction, the background, some figures, problem and significance, the literature review, and lists the research, and then the scope and limitations, methods and justification. So here, in order to proceed with our research, we need to find reliable and credible information. Thus, engineering-based documents in the AB libraries, such as magazines, journals, and trustworthy websites will be used. We'll try to find facts about the problem of traffic in China and pollution that is related to this congestion. We will then try to find solutions to our problem of heavy traffic congestion by conducting research on the internet and using professional magazines as well as journals. These solutions will mainly focus on engineering and environmental dimensions of the topic. And And you can use maybe interviews, you can use maybe surveys. So if you want to send out a survey, you say we're going to survey AB students, etc., etc. And then here you put the timeline, right? How many weeks does it take, dates, and then the conclusion, and put all the references. Notice there are many journal articles and maybe a couple of like this one is a popular source, and this one is a popular source, and this one over here, those are 4 journal articles. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, all clear.
Yes.
Great. Let me show you one more thing again. Including references, this is 6 pages long. So it's 5 pages, including also the you know, the pictures and the tables. What does that mean? This means that it's as simple as that. It doesn't require more. This is a proposal. This is number 1. Number 2, which is the good news, you're going to be recycling this stuff later on, meaning whatever you use for whatever assignment in this class can be just copy pasted into your final project. So anything you do now is taken out of the way, clears the way for you to do other things. So don't worry about like rephrasing, restructuring, and rewriting things. Okay? And what else? Yeah, basically that's it. I'm thinking maybe I push the deadline for you for this until next week, especially because that project is going to be delayed and we need some time. So I'm thinking maybe I give you until let's say, so instead of it being due on Sunday at 6, it's going to be due maybe next Thursday or Friday at 6. How about that?
That would actually be amazing, Dr. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you
If you want, you could just put like make a poll for some dates you're available at, and then we could choose one of them.
No, I'm thinking
Like-
I'm not talking about the time we're going to be doing the session, the Q&A. I'm thinking about just when is the proposal due. So instead of it being due on Sunday, we will have it due next week. You know what I mean?
Get it.
Okay. But you have to remember, you are procrastinators, and it's just 1 page per person. Okay? And if I give you until next week, this doesn't give you an excuse not to work on it this week.
Sure.
This means that you have to start working on it this week. You have to meet, you have to talk about it. You have to dedicate 1 hour to sit together on WebEx, on Zoom, and talk about it. And then, you know, you start working individually, maybe collaborating on a Google Doc. I don't have to walk you through. I still remember 5 years ago, I used to have to walk students through using Google Doc and how to use that. And now I feel like I'm happier. Students have caught up with the technology and all that. Okay. So this means that this week you have to plan on meeting and at least dividing up the tasks and making sure, you know, you have a clear map on how you're going to be navigating the proposal, who's going to do what, when are you going to finish it by, so that you can, one of you can upload it to Moodle. Okay?
Professor,
Yes.
I have a question about the IBDAع project in general. So if, let's say we propose some model or something in the project proposal, by the end of the semester, should we like have a working prototype or a proof of concept or something like that?
Who usually, yeah, usually no. This is what students do. They do have a prototype, a working prototype at the end.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
sure how it's going to work now because it's a virtual poster conference. So you might want to have maybe a video of it. Or maybe if you have the plan down on like, you know, like a 3D animated something, then you can share that. It doesn't have to be built. You can say that this is part of the plan
Okay.
is to build it and test it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay. So how about we don't have a session next week, and instead of just having a session, work on the proposal. Okay. And then we make it due, what do you think, Thursday or Friday? I don't know.
كله منيح.
You don't want to decide?
Friday. خلاص. Tuesday.
Who said Tuesday?
I said Thursday.
Professor, what do we have due till next Sunday? So what's the work of
this Sunday? This Sunday?
Not this Sunday, the one after. So we're delaying stuff into the next week, but we kind of want to know what's also due next week also.
Let's take a look at the course.
Yeah, please.
I want to see. So week 6, we have reports, right? So we're going to begin. Oh, oops, sorry. I cannot see that. Let's share again. Week 6, you have reports. Look, it's hidden from you guys. You can't see that yet. So it's week 6. This week we will begin developing our research into a report. We will go over the report prompt to see what the report is about and what should it look like. So basically, I want you to go over the information, review the MSFEA guidelines for writing and engineering, review the prompt, study the results and analysis PowerPoint that I have for you, okay? And check out the engineering argumentation overview. So you have 4 things to do for that, okay? For next Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
No,
They
no,
seem
okay.
fairly.
They're doable.
Ah.
You watch a video, you read this, which is this. This and this are the same, but this is just written and this one is video and voice. You look at this is a little bit dense in the sense that it's, I don't know whether it's like 36 slides or something, but you can go through them fairly easily.
Yeah.
And take a look at the engineering argumentation overview. If you want to find the MSFEA guidelines and for writing and engineering, it's over here in the beginning. I posted it at the beginning. I think I need to copy it and put it down there as well. Over here, resources for the course are this and the APA Handbook 7th edition to help you learn how to cite and
we have to use APA style on all our
for this course, because usually it depends. Some professors ask you to use IEEE.
Okay.
Okay. This, however, is for all of your courses.
Yeah,
meaning
okay.
every time you write in engineering for any course in the Maroon Sam'an Faculty of Engineering and Architecture, you're following the guidelines for writing and engineering that's here. This is a short guideline, but I want you to go over it. This is going to help you with writing your report. Okay? So because we have manageable things to do for not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, you're fine. وبعدين هودي, you know, if they're going to push إبداع from the 2nd of April until, I don't know, like later, we can start doing the career portfolio and cover letters and resumes and LinkedIn as, you know, we are finalizing our reports and posts.
Professor, why are they pushing إبداع?
ما بعرف. I was complaining because I designed my entire course around إبداع, but they're saying that because of what's going on, it seems that they're like a little bit behind هن. And I don't know whether some professors are also behind with the work and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any questions? Other questions? No? Okay, I'm going to stop